Now nobody knows who I am.
Here we are, another episode
Hi,
of
Troy.
the Danny and Troy show. Hi, Danny. How are you?
No, it's the Troy and Danny show. Remember? We changed it yesterday.
Did we? Well,
Actually, I thought of a great name. Maybe I like the Danny and Troy show. I like the first two words especially.
Danny
the
and-
Danny.
like the Danny.
Right?
Yeah.
The Danny. Yeah, thank God there's only one. But while you were chatting, and you yesterday was, as we were talking about before we went on camera, was a very, very interesting development in the subject, that we were discussing, and which was about destinations, right?
Exactly.
It was about reaching the destination in singular. However, I think we redefined it that whatever happens at the end point, quote unquote, really discloses that a number of destinations have been reached.
That's
So it's sort of like where a dot explodes into like a millipede. It's like, wait a minute, how did that happen? So I thought if there were like a raffle for a new name, I thought conversations, right?
Sure.
Might be kind of an interesting thought, because that's what we're having. We're having a conversation. A conversation that, you can bump into two guys in a corner drinking a beer at a party. And what is it they're talking about, And then, it's the art of eavesdropping.
Sure.
Where at a party, you can tune out conversations and tune in other ones, just by, I don't know, thinking about it or directing your energy in that direction.
Yeah.
But I thought that's really what we're doing, is we're having conversations. And if people in the Data Cafe, which is kind of still we have lots of active things going on.
Yep.
Would be a table, right? Or a booth, or a what would you call it? A table, or a nook in the corner somewhere, right? By the way, that's not a racial slur, is it? Nook.
No, I don't think so.
He's a nook, a nookie. Here, he's a nookie, or she's a nookie,
Right.
or nookie. Okay, I'll stop there. I'm going to get in danger. Going to get in trouble. But we came together at a moment that I credit you with, and that we decided that the idea of maintenance is a very flexible place. The old adage, I think it was Vanderbilt, who principally said, if you can't afford to own it, if you can't afford to maintain it.
Right.
And I think for us, that if you reach a position that you're in and you can't maintain that position, then you're in trouble. It's not just about ownership of, your car. I've got a neighbor here who just bought himself a little, I don't know, sports car with a convertible, right? And he's very happy, but he doesn't realize that he has motor problems, right? And that he should have them fixed. Instead, he likes the noise it's making while I'm standing in the yard with Chris, and we're saying he's got, what rings, valves, all kinds of other malfunctions going on, but the noise for him is just like a brass band, right?
Okay.
So he can't afford to own that car.
Right.
Like it goes. But anyway, so outside of maintenance, we hip hopped over to a word I like very much, which is acceptance. And that was such a powerful suggestion on your part, which I think we had discussed prior a little bit on the Russian, I don't want to call it a religious holiday because it's actually a folk holiday, called Maslenitsa. And masla is the Russian word for butter, right?
Right.
And Maslenitsa ends up on a lot of ending of other words, like I could say, look, it's Choynitsa.
Okay.
That kind of stuff, it's my little Nina, Lenanitsa. right? Or whatever.
Okay.
But Maslenitsa refers to butter because they make little round pancakes, right? And these little round pancakes are soaked in butter so that they are reminiscent of the sun. And it's around Lent and all of those happy days. So it means it's the end of winter and that we're going into spring.
Yeah.
So on this particular holiday, people who meet each other, this part of the, as they call it, the blanket of the people, okay, which I like very much. It recalls memories of group consciousness, right? You're there, which could be applied to any discussions we would have on what's going on now in that neck of the woods.
Right.
But when you've got the sun, which is symbolized by pancakes soaked in butter, and you could throw anything on there, you know, fruit, caviar, whatever you want, and make it that much more enjoyable. And Russians are very, very generous people, like the Irish. When you sit down to eat, you don't get up until you're full. You don't even have to ask, it just keeps coming. So when two people meet during Maslenitsa, I think it's also Epiphany or some other Christian holiday around that time of the year. And as you know, the first day of spring is the beginning of my new year. That they meet each other and they say, I ask, even if they don't know each other, I ask you please to forgive me for any wrong I have done to you. Wouldn't that be great for Ukraine and Russia? They observe that, and then it's law, right? You break that code, you just melt. And when they're asking for forgiveness from someone that they don't know, it's also a cleansing effect for the person who is making the request.
Sure.
As a standard response, the second person would respond, of course I forgive you, if you will forgive me and all of the transgressions that I have executed among you and your friends and your family, or your values or things like that. So it's really a knitting needle for keeping the whole social society together.
Right.
And Lena sent me congratulations on Pastorflayu on this day, and she asked for my forgiveness. And I said, I've got something to say about that. I said, I would ask for your forgiveness according to tradition, but having the power to forgive someone, I think, is a bit pretentious. And as usual, I found that it is really just sort of by rote, press the button and the dolly will cry. And I said, I want it to be more meaningful than that, like an automatic response or what I'm supposed to say.
Sure.
Like hi or thank you, you're welcome. Those kinds of responses. I said, because most people don't really mean it.
Yeah.
So since it's a personal event for me, and this was news for her, a little shocking actually, I said to her, I can't find myself in the position to forgive people. I would much rather accept you for who you are. And I think that was a very monumental moment, at least to Lena it was, and to me as well, in that it's more meaningful, it's more heavy duty than, saying, yeah, I forgive you too. It's like kiss and make up, shake hands, be the bigger man, things they used to tell me when I was growing up. And it's like those going back to the very beginning about solutions, right? That's the solution. Shake hands, kiss and make up, whatever they say.
Yeah.
But that it's an admonition. It doesn't solve anything.
No.
It just tells you what to do, pull yourself up, stop crying, or don't think about it, or any of the, there are billions of them, obviously. But nobody, the problem, what makes it an admonition is it doesn't tell you how to do it.
No.
And I don't know how to forgive someone. normally, especially if I'm met with a person who's in Alcoholics Anonymous, part of their, I think it's 10-step program, is part of one of them is to go to the people that you have offended, much like Maslenitsa, and ask them for forgiveness. Right. And I had someone do that to me one time, and I was in San Francisco, and she said this, forgive me for all of the things I've done. And I said, that's too cheap. That's like living a life of sin, and then 1 second before you're dead, you're saying, I believe in Jesus and everything's okay and I'm going to go to heaven, right? As my personal savior, or whatever it is they say. And then a life of crime and destroying other people's lives and greed and all the good stuff. And suddenly, all your sins are washed away. I don't believe it. So I told her, I said, from my way of thinking, that if you want forgiveness, there's only, because it's your issue, not mine, because I've accepted your presence in my life and all of the trouble that you brought with you as the past. It's over, it's gone, and hopefully I learned something from it. So I said, if you are seeking forgiveness, then you must make all wrongs right. Like, I don't know, riding the keel. Right? How are you going to do that? Probably going to be troublesome. It may mean you have to stop your life if you're truly sincere in order to go back and to make reparations. And that, that's one thing the world's going to collapse from, because nobody has the courage, the guts, the know-how, the fortitude, or testicular fortitude, to quote Meyer, to do it. They don't want to take the time. I got to be somewhere else. I just thought I was in town. I just thought I'd come by and ask for forgiveness, and I got to go.
Exactly.
That kind of stuff is like, does a stick of gum come with that? Do I get anything from it? And so I told her, I said, that's what you need to do if you truly want forgiveness, is to, all the things you're asking forgiveness for, you have to make up for it somehow. That if you, and probably to a point of sincerity, to where you may feel injured by having to address the issue from an equity point of view. If you stole $10, maybe you'd feel better if you gave back 100. Because all that time that passed from when you took all that money, or ended up drunk, or whatever you were doing, has been multiplied over the years. Maybe not so much with me, because I try to resolve it for myself and say, I don't expect your whatever. I don't expect anything from you. So it's your issue, not mine. And that's why I think I finished my story, but I'm like a, Mr. Tangent of accepting people and accepting things for what they are.
Exactly.
You need a moment to respond, please. Take two.
I think, it's not much of a tangent. But the connection is really valid and important, that in order to go forward, whether it's maintenance or, another word we put on that, from a place of acceptance is where the most beneficial next steps occur. And I understand the aspect you were mentioning there, where we've kind of got these fundamental, traditional, and really wise teachings to draw upon, like the one you're saying, the celebration of first day of spring in Russia, and the process that around it, asking for forgiveness, and the reply. But at the same time, it becomes an easy answer to everybody, and they can I think it's important not to get lost in that. It's like you're saying, say thank you for someone, and the next thing is you're welcome. If it's not genuine, the thank you's not genuine, then the welcome's not genuine, then it loses all its impact. And that's a shame. So the important part is to recognize, and whether it's asking for forgiveness or saying thank you, that has to be, I mean, it doesn't have to be, but it's good if it is really genuine. And where the aspect of being genuine and true to yourself comes is when there is a level of acceptance of who you are and what you're about and where you are. So it becomes one of these fundamental actions, like you're saying. How do I do it? Again,
that would be the navigation aspect, right?
Well,
how do I do it?
That's right. How the good thing is, I mean, for me anyway, I see acceptance being quite simple. It's not a difficult process to sit and accept, but it may be for some, because of all the noise and everything that's going on and all the distractions. But I guess it has come from practice. My environment, particularly sitting in the calm serenity of Bhutan, to be able to say, where am I now and what's going on right now? And you get referred to now as well a number of times about you've got that clock that doesn't have hands, everything, the time is right now. And you can only reach acceptance, true acceptance, and this is my opinion, in that moment of now. And when getting a taste of that and experience that and practicing that, then it becomes easier. So the requirement of, acceptance isn't that difficult if you can kind of just find a place in the now, and from there decide what maintenance, going back to yesterday's conversation, what maintenance you want to do, whether it's on a group project or a product, or so a physical object like a house, or a relationship, or a relationship with yourself, even like we were saying. I've got to fix myself, or not fix, but just do something about this. And like we were saying in the beginning about affording a maintenance. So another analogy that was brought up is like you need to be able to afford not just the product, but the maintenance of that as well. So
including your own life.
Exactly.
Maintaining your own life.
Exactly. So from a place of acceptance, you can get a great snapshot of what you have in your life, starting with your individual presence is a word that comes to mind, and say, okay, what do I need to do to maintain this? And do I willingly accept, also, to reuse that word, the price it will take to maintain that? So a lot of things coming from what you were saying.
A lot of glue words are coming to me when you speak. And the most prevalent thought I have is, and this goes back to acting as well. If the character you're playing wants to express gratitude, right? Ultimately, for most actors, you want a response from the audience as to your performance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there are a number of ways you can gauge that. The blue hairs in the front row unwrapping candy wrappers is one.
Right.
Or you don't listen for the more professional because you want to execute what you feel in an action. I guess that's why they call us actors, right?
Right. Action.
And we use verbs of action.
Right.
That the best way to get the message across is to be sincere. And in that sincerity, we literally want to feel it truthfully. That's why it's not acting in the usual sense of the word, but people use it as a derogatory statement about someone else. You're acting. But with that sincerity comes a kind of internal commitment. Like when you do something, and I could do this every day talking to you, and do without thought, because I don't know if anybody's going to be watching or not. I'm on stage, actually. We both are. But we get to that point in our sincerity, where for me it comes from here, right? The energy I feel comes from here, and it gathers like a storm cloud, and then I feel it mentally. And when I say, thank you, Troy, because it's written on the page, THANK space YOU period, right? But what does that carry with it?
Yes.
And as much as we would say, I love you, right? Can also be said, yeah, I love you. Love you too. Right?
Exactly.
Or even worse, love you. Right? Which is, I'd rather you hadn't said anything. So there is a measure of displaying. The effect would be a display of your sincerity. How we accomplish that in any act we do in life, not just, I'm in business and then, everything is whitewashed and it doesn't mean, and nothing means anything anymore. But I ask myself that acceptance, I say to myself that acceptance also means to accept. That if a person is giving me a gift, I know from my own past history, sometimes I have difficulty in receiving that gift, which means I have difficulty in the area of acceptance.
Right.
I know many people, it's a plague in my family, right? Oh, no, I don't deserve it, this kind of thing. Right. Well, of course, the message is in how it's expressed. That it's important to give, but it's also important to receive.
Exactly.
I'm a giver. I like to give, but that embarrassing moment when I have to, when I'm in a place where I believe I'm required to accept something from someone, I must know how to accept it as well. Because there's someone else who is the giver.
Right.
And it is just as important as me as the giver to see that the person who is accepting the gift truly appreciates it. I mean, that compels me to find ways of helping myself make a good reference to what it is I'm giving to someone, meaning that I usually give people gifts that I like to have myself. Right. And I make a joke about it. I say, well, if you don't want it, I'll be sure to take it back. But at least it's the thought that count, I think, is the word that usually goes with a gift. I don't know what to get them. Then don't get them anything. Say something nice to them, right? Or get them something you want yourself. At least that messenger can carries your sense of true appreciation for the work you're giving them. Let's say it's a wood carving or something that you really love, or like the mask I told you I got in Russia. I complimented a guy in his country house about a wonderful wooden mask he had carved, and he felt compelled. I know he wanted to keep it because it was in his house.
Sure.
And then he said, "It's my gift to you." And it was like, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to take it away from you, but all the stuff I have now will be someone else's someday.
Sure. Yeah.
And before I got it, it belonged to somebody else too.
Sure.
Right. So I think it's really important in this accepting not only what you are given, but acceptance is a proper way of maintaining your own life. Accept what you get when you're arrived in port, you reached your destination, and some things, if you didn't spend a lot of time thinking that they were going to be a certain way, expectations, another word for disappointment,
sure,
then you can learn to see into another life, your life to come, your life to be, or however you want to look at it, but it's coming your way.
Yeah.
And if you're standing on the tracks, there's a good chance that the train is not going to slam on the brakes, right? That you and the train are going to kiss and hug, and you'll get what's coming to you.
Yeah.
That also brings to mind, people say each day is a gift. That's why they call it the present. Right. I like that one as well, too, right? So there's a whole mindset of things to think about.
Yeah.
It also reminds me of one other sort of superficial attachment to that, which is all of these values which we started with, in establishing why those values are there, why they go from one generation to the next. Are they helpful? Not in just, accumulating a lot of dirty paper or yellow metal or things like that, which people put their own values on. But it brings to mind the saying that you are the best investment that you will ever make.
Right.
And whatever the return or the ROI, the return on investment that you get, I think one must know how to accept it.
Sure.
For what it is. And instead of saying, I wanted a kite and you gave me a model airplane, it's like, why don't you just shut up about it? Stop complaining, right?
Yeah.
Stop being so selfish and ask yourself, what new adventure this brings to you? What new possibilities?
Yeah.
Because, in the overall picture, it's still part of your, I don't like the word progress, but it is still part of your journey.
Sure.
And if you don't acknowledge it as going somewhere or fulfilling, your sailing plans or whatever, you were going to do, choosing your ship, your shipmates, et cetera, then who's at a disadvantage? There's so many things to consider. And we have to ask ourselves that what we do, does it work for us? And that's a deeply personal question, right? It's not defining whether or not I'm satisfied with the results I got. That in acceptance, again, going back, that you got what you got, right? Or like they say, you got what you deserve.
Right.
You made, what is it, the Rolling Stones lyric that says, you can try sometime, but you just might find you got what you need.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And not what you want, but what you need.
Right.
And of course, that would be a determination of the person themselves in determining, did the result bring me to something that I needed? or would benefit me in another way,
mhm.
and allow me to, well, to beat the word to death, to accept it,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that? Which, of course, is what, problems happen. Things,
Right.
we don't want things to go wrong,
No.
but sometimes wrong, they bring the unexpected.
Right.
Always, really.
Mhm.
And then how do we deal with that? That's a
Right.
good
Right.
question. How do you deal? What is the process of
Mhm.
acceptance?
Mhm.
What do you think? What does a person go through in accepting
Yeah.
an outcome?
Well, I mean, to go back to the point that you made around every day as a gift, I think there's a fundamental underlying aspects. I just want to, I guess, this coming to my mind to touch on, which is that the whole world, I mean, the fact that the earth is here, the ability to breathe, the ability to communicate, the ability to think, it's all in some ways can be considered a gift from this universe. Let's use that word. So the universe has given us a gift of life, and from that space we can be like, oh no, I'm not worthy or whatever. It's like, but to be able to accept that takes a little practice, like I was saying, sit in the space and go breath work or whatever it is, meditation, mantra, with these are some methods of getting to that, but it's not necessary. And from there, finding a place of acceptance of what it is you have, to being or taking the action of the universe and giving something to somebody, whether it's a mask or a paycheck or a handmade little, they have these little wallets here in Bhutan that are really popular for gifts. So when giving, I feel it's like, and in the true sense of what the universe has given every human being and every form of life on planet Earth, is this, I guess, noble gift. And it didn't have to do that. Or, I mean, I might be over conceptualizing it here, but as a human being, which is a product of the universe, taking on the action of giving from a place of acceptance is just doing the same wise, fundamental actions that come for us from the universe, giving us the ability to recreate the act of giving. And when done from a place of presence and acceptance, then it becomes a beautiful and amazing, enjoyable, fulfilling process. But
it can be empty, though, don't you think? I mean, if we're going to talk about it, both sides,
sure,
of course, we can speak theoretically and philosophically about the anticipated outcome, right, of what we want it to be. But it can also be lacking, and it is sort of like getting attached to a small vacuum, right?
Right.
It's like,
sure.
If I receive something from somebody and I know I don't want it, I know that it's, thoughtless or whatever, do I have a duty to them to say, I can't take it, right? And if they ask why not, to tell them the truth, without spending too much time anticipating how much they're going to hate us, because, we're turning down what? Something that, according to societal rules, demands that we accept it.
Right. Right.
I mean, that's not unique to the individual, I think. And too much today, I see people following a protocol.
Right.
That doesn't make waves. Unless, of course, you're one of those people who is not guided or commanded by the things you are supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah, I often say, don't shoot on me today. Don't shoot on me. Just let me do what I want to do. But I may be talking to people who have a different presence, right? Who are running on a different gear, right? And about the maintenance of the vehicle they are driving, like my neighbor here, it's like, if you really appreciated the machine that you're in, love it.
Right.
You don't have to put it under so much stress, or accept the fact that you're driving a beautiful car that has a really ugly motor. And that if you really loved it, instead of thinking about how much it costs, you would find a way if you really wanted to. Right.
Sure.
But people have their head in the clouds.
Right.
And they don't accept other people. They run from them if they're speaking about things they don't understand or don't agree with. Then it gets to be all about subjectivity, and nobody has the time.
Sure.
It's like Nietzsche said, again, that one of the remedies that he offered, I think I sent you this article, that principally says, what's the hurry?
Sure.
Why do you have to speed read? Can you just, and this was an actual experience for me in the third or fourth grade, when I started my writing career, writing about, a couple of guys during the Civil War. And people next to me were going, I finished all that, man. Where are you? I'm still on page 1, right? Because I noticed, like the connection that you sent me. I said, I can look through it, really quick and get through it and blah, 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 blah. And that's what I get out of it.
Yeah.
But when I was a claims adjuster, I made that change. I said, all these files ended up on my desk first day on the job, right? And it was like, we have to solve this. You have to know what's going on in the case, all the previous adjusters and their notes and so on. And I started at the back and read it forward. And I could easily, like most of the other guys there, have said, yeah, I read it. But when I got through maybe digesting it, I chewed it really well. I think it's kind of Zen-like. But I like reading a book or reading a line or listening to someone talk. I didn't have an answer. And I do that with you. And I think you do that too, where maybe better than I do, that the answer will come if you listen.
Right.
You don't have to think, what's the answer to that? Then you're engaging other parts of you that are not required. That you trust yourself and believe that the answer will come. And you don't have to worry about your appearance, because everybody makes mistakes.
Exactly.
But there are very few people who can admit their mistakes.
Right. Sure.
So that presentation, like Zen in eating, that's all you're doing. And that is, they talk about it, what is it, Zen in the art of motorcycle maintenance and things like that, where they're talking about chew your food. That's all you're doing. Chewing your food. And that's an exercise in itself, right? Of being centered, of being concentrated, of being present, however you describe it, right?
Yeah.
And it has fantastic results, unexpected, fantastic results.
Yep. Yep.
And you're a master at it. How do you do it? You know, you
Well,
find you're like a gold panner. You know, you go to the river, me, and you're there with your pan, you know, and you're not in a hurry, you know, feet are in the water, pants are wet, and you're swishing and swishing, and you come up with results. Me, I'm like the fisherman. You know, well, that hole doesn't work. There's got to be a fish in a hole over there. You know, the guys are always pulling their cork up and throwing it somewhere else.
Right.
You know,
right.
and can't understand why they don't come home with fish. But you're methodical about this. I think that's probably one of the things that that allows you to treat data science like a religion almost. And I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Spiritual practice.
That's right. So yeah, trying. Well, in it, I guess what's coming to mind is the fundamentals of going back to that universe and planet Earth and human being kind of relationship. So the universe somehow created planet Earth, and planet Earth somehow created life. One of those aspects of life is air. So the gift of air has come from originally the universe, but through a lot of process and one of the objects in that is planet Earth. And if planet Earth wasn't in the right spot from the sun, you know, air or oxygen, let's say, wouldn't exist. It would be more of a CO2. But right now we have this gift of oxygen, which just so happens to be something that can be accepted by human beings. But we kind of, it's always there. So the gift, the fact that it is a gift is kind of taken for granted. But, you know, we don't have to take that gift. We could, if we want, stop breathing. I mean, not that it's voluntary, but there are ways. Not to dwell on that, but in anything, a gift can be given. So now I'm a human being. I can use my tools, the things that have been given to me to create something, to create a new gift. Either, forming it with the tools I have, or which money is one of those tools. I could go buy a gift. Like I was saying, a little handmade woven wallet that's made here in Bhutan out of the yak fur, the yak hair. Or I could make one myself, but that will take a long time. And I could take that back to Australia and offer it to Zara, my daughter. And now she has a choice to accept it or say, no, I don't want that. But it doesn't matter, from my side, whether or not she accepts that gift, just as the universe or planet Earth doesn't care if I accept the gift of oxygen. But all these things are here, and taking actions from that space of utilizing what we have. And this is something that we've been talking about, is definitely with data science, I see that as my practice. It's not my job, it's just something that I do every day. And as I practice that, part of that is utilizing the current available assets, which include technology. And so much technology is underutilized, unappreciated, or even in some case unaccessible or inaccessible to others. And that's what I, as a human being, as a data scientist, like doing is making sure the gifts that are available are recognized and utilized and recognized. So that's how I do it. I don't know exactly. I mean, like we were saying, the analogy of going up to a great sports player and saying, oh, how do you, hit that golf ball so well? Or how do you, swim so fast or kick the ball in the right spot every time? It's hard to explain, but they just do it.
I had that experience once. I think I was in Kentucky, and I play at golf. I'm not a serious golfer, but so, usually if I haven't played in a while, the next game I play it's wonderful.
Right. Yeah.
But if I played another game after that, I would be severely handicapped.
Sure.
But I was playing at this one time, the guy I met, young guy, on the teeing off, and we decided to play, 9 holes together. And this guy I'm not much on drivers. I like irons, but this guy, when he hit the ball, it went straight as an arrow, further than I would have thought a ball could be hit.
Sure.
Not every time, because you don't want 220 yards every time you hit the ball, right?
Exactly.
So I asked him, I said, I got to ask you, and I still see his face, one of those moments.
Yeah.
I said, how do you do it every time you hit that ball on the tee with that club, that wood? I think, what are there, 3 woods, 1, 2, 3? And I said, and it's amazing. How do you do it? And he said to me, it's very simple. I think one thing before I hit the ball.
Okay.
Not are my shoulders square, all that other stuff.
Right.
He said, I think one thing. And I said, what is that one thing? And he said, distance. And I walked up, my shot came to the tee. And for the first, all I did was block. I didn't block everything. I put all of my concentration on that word, distance.
Right.
And everything came together.
Wow.
And my game has never been the same since. I was very successful using that thought. And I thought, that's marvelous. And all of the skills that he had were applied in that suggestion, designation, command, right? Which I think how each individual player would address that word would translate itself into the game.
Right.
But I saw such a sense of purity in as a young man. I don't know, he could have been 20, I'm not sure. In the execution, in the application of everything that came together at that moment.
Right.
That produced such amazing results.
Yeah. That's great.
And I see that all the time, and I think it's my gift, if anybody wants it, to follow up on that.
Sure.
And try it for yourself.
Yeah.
Because, once we distill all of this, we reach a conclusion, maybe, or a temporary resting place. And we ask ourselves, what did I get out of that? And I think that's one of the steps that led me to my 3-word prohibition. It's got to be a maximum of 3 words, right? Where simplify, right? And people have said before, simplicity is genius, or genius is simplicity. Simplicity is genius, where you get it down to, that one word that you have to say to yourself, distance, or whatever profit, then that takes you over. That establishes your character.
Sure.
We're still in the play now, right? Where if you're going to direct yourself, which is not always advisable, then you want to take the path of least resistance.
Sure.
You don't want to, attack from all sides.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do that, then you're principally, doing nothing but standing there, waiting like in Tai Chi for a force to come from one direction. And of course, the magic of Tai Chi, as I understand it, is you don't oppose it.
Sure.
You just let it go by.
Exactly.
You avoid it. And then if you want to meet the enemy, you use his force to defeat him, for him to defeat himself.
Right.
Yeah. So I think, that too, that in any one of these actions, whether you're on the stage, you're in business, you're at sea, whatever, you're performing a work of art, that's what you want to say.
Exactly.
Which could be a line, or, we look at some of these Russian artists, for instance, that come to mind where, you've got the canvas divided into 4 spaces, and each space is a different color. But yet, so many people identify with that in as much as they do the Mona Lisa, which, has different requirements.
Sure.
And some people are adverse to expressions. It's not adverse to their expressions. It's adverse to their own reaction.
Right.
To that expression.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So they can be introverts for a while. It's not going to kill you.
Yep. Exactly.
I got on the same page, I've got a note that says Barack Abominable.
What's that?
Did I get that from you?
What was
Barack Abominable.
Yeah, we were playing with Abominable Snowman stories a while ago, and that was
oh, that's right. I wrote that one down.
Yeah, that was yours. But yeah, I think there's many words. I mean, distance is, like you said, it's a great focus for that purpose, and it will work in a lot of different situations, like I can see already. But there are, I think, it's not just one, and the right word, or I mean, not to say any word is right or wrong, but finding that simple, clear, that captures the essence and enables you to bring all thought into that one word and establish that place from where you can take action from, and everything just flows. I think that's, building on top of what you're saying, finding these 3 words, bringing it in, bringing it simple, bringing it clear. Different words will work for different people. Different words will work for different situations, different environments. But the beautiful part is there is a word. There will be a word that enables you to get clear, bring clarity, bring focus, bring presence. And finding that word or discovering that word is part of the fun. We've been playing with words. We've been playing with different topics for the subjects of discussion, and going back to conversations. This is where I think again, we're applying the gifts we have, the gift of breath, the gift of technology, and in the context of amazing, inspiring words that spark or enable the spark for deeper feelings like presence and consciousness and awareness and fulfillment and enlightenment. But again, like
I
you're saying,
feel,
it's just important to apply those things and not, well, that's what I feel. It's just now that we have it, let's do something with it.
it's like Ted Turner,
Yeah.
the mouth of the South, as we like to call him, had a mantra that he used in his business, and it was 3 parts. I'll just give you the quote: lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Right. Yeah.
And get out of the way really sort of stands as one word to me.
Sure.
Lead, follow, or.
That's right.
Simple enough. 3 words I can remember.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's so much to talk about, so much to explore, so much to learn to appreciate,
Sure.
And I think in some ways, what we're doing is creating an alchemical science, really, in some ways. And it's fun. I don't like being told what to do, what to think. I think I remember an event locally where a minister actually went bad, and he used to come to me because of his presumptions of his situation, right, of how he thought about himself.
Okay.
And there were obviously a lot of childhood issues
right.
involved in his pretentious presumption that he could tell people what to do. And he used to say, "I told you." And I was thinking, I can't think of any way to turn me off faster than to hear those words.
Yeah.
Or a slight derivation: "I told you so."
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Everybody loves that one.
Yeah.
Should have listened to me. I told you so. Yes, you did. Sure did. I remember your horrible words. Yeah. Okay. I would like to make a suggestion that we take tomorrow and do what we talked about before, right?
Sure.
See how far we reach some kind of an understanding. And you're going to do your letter today. Don't forget.
Yep.
And the suggestion for the next series, I think we've chosen 5 right now, whatever. See if we can milk 5 out of the next topic.
Yeah.
And I would like to explore emotional aspects.
Okay. Sure.
Right now, I think that what emotional intelligence is hot, right?
Right.
And it's what in the world do you mean? Because everybody can mean something different, right?
Exactly.
Me explaining to you, which I'd like to pass up on explanations, why I'm right.
Okay.
And why you get so excited and I get so emotional. I call it passionate, or however we go about it. But I think a lot of people, I believe, control their emotions. Well, let me see if I want to put it that way. I was going to say control their emotions too much, but maybe it would be a matter of understanding, what message does an emotion carry?
Exactly.
It can, be emphasis. It can be, subjective,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Let's have a chat about that.
Sounds great.
Maybe not tomorrow. We'll skip a day.
Yep.
Tomorrow we talk about what we're going to talk about, and then the next time, give us some time to think about the emotional aspects of
Sure.
a human being.
Sure.
And the mentality, the delusions, the
Right.
I don't know what the montage of
Mm-hmm.
what is present in us, because I think in some ways, they're glaring lights, and
Sure.
we can go to that light and we can come to understand it and embrace it, and not looking for answers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not looking for anything except the idea of coming to accept
Right.
our emotions, to work off that last topic
Exactly.
a little better.
Yeah.
Right. No instructions how to use them, how to benefit from them, what they mean.
Sure.
I want to kill my mother and father with, whatever it is. Let's just have a look at the emotional aspects that we're talking about.
Okay.
That sound okay with you?
Sounds
You're
very
not going to get
interesting.
emotional about it, are
I
you,
might.
Troy?
I might. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Okay.
We should put up a warning sign then.
Yeah.
Okay. Terrific.
Okay.
All done then?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds great.
All right. Wonderful.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
All right.
And see you tomorrow.
See you
Okay.
tomorrow. Bye.
All right. Bye, Troy.